ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The issue of music in Islam is something that traditionally there hasn't been a lot of debate over because of the vast majority of scholars that have come together to say it's haram. Recently, this debate has really kicked off online, and we see our brother Nouman Ali Khan that he spoke about this issue. Now, before you guys all start getting in a big, hoo-ha about why are you talking about it online and why don't you speak to him on private, I did. Me and our brother Eddie from the Deen Show, when this issue was brought to us, we reached out to Nouman Ali Khan, and in a way to do it with nasiha, privately, we set up a WhatsApp group. As you can see the picture on your screen, this is June 20th, 2023. So that means more than a year and a half ago. And we invited him and he joined the group, and he said he wanted to bring some experts. So he brought two more people in who I don't know personally. One he said was a faqih, and one he said was a hadith scholar, to review the evidences. And all the evidences that I'm going to present to you, I presented to them in the group. The response was not academic. He decided to leave the group and say, you know what, I'm going to stick to my opinion. No response. So I gave him a year, and our brother Eddie from the Deen Show is a witness to this, that look, review the evidences. If you have evidences, show them to us and I'll change my view. But if you don't, then don't go around making videos and posting about why music's halal without understanding the issue from an academic perspective, and bring any experts you like. All of them left the group with no responses. So I waited a year. It's been a year and a half now. So now we're going to address the issue. Our brother Nouman Ali Khan, he said,
I needed to understand the prohibition of music. I really wanted to grasp it. And there are several hadith that talk about this issue. And the problem with me is I recognize the limit of my area of expertise. I am not a specialist in hadith by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a student of hadith for my own benefit, but I don't talk about it public. I don't lecture on it because that's not my area of expertise or my area of research.
No, it's very important. You heard what he said. Again, I appreciate the fact that he recognizes his field of expertise, but then he goes on to do exactly what he said he doesn't do, which is talk about hadith, criticize hadith, which are in Bukhari. And again, so why would you do that if that's not your field of expertise? And to say that I spoke to a hadith scholar, but I can't mention his name, and he won't say it publicly, and this is just not valid. This is not the way Islamic academics work. He continues.
My area of research is Quran. So my first question was, where is music talked about in Quran? Nowhere. It's not there. The one place where you can argue it might be there is Surah Luqman. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Surah Luqman, among the people is someone who purchases vain speech to misguide others from the path of Allah. And the vain speech, lahwa al-hadith, the opinion, the famous opinion regarding it from Ibn Abbas is this is referring to music. So then the ayah would mean among the people is someone who purchases music. So now all of a sudden, this became a Quran studies issue, right? But Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu has an opinion, and there are several other Sahaba who have several other opinions. And fun enough, the opinion of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu that's recorded in Ibn Kathir is not authentic. It's not authentic. The chain includes someone who's considered a drunkard.
Now here's the problem. You see, in the beginning, he clearly said that hadith is not his field, and he doesn't talk about hadith, and he doesn't criticize hadith. And then he goes on to do exactly that. And to say the chain has a drunkard is a very harsh criticism of a hadith that is no doubt authentic. And I will prove it, inshallah, in this video, with scans of each book, evidences, chains, and all of that. You can't say, I don't know about hadith, and then criticize hadith and call narrators drunks without even mentioning who they are. Which narrator? I asked him this on the group. Which narrators are drunk? I'm going to show you the chain. and go through each narrator and show me where is the drunk. Okay? And it's not just one chain. And it's not just Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma who said that Lahu al-Hadith in Surah Luqman includes music. And if other Sahaba mention other things that would also be included in useless or vain talks, doesn't mean that music is not included. It's not a contradiction here. Now, let's take this from the top. Let's take this from the Quran itself. In the tafsir of Ibn Abi Hatim, which is one of the earliest tafasir, he mentions the riwayah from Abdullah ibn Abbas, and it's on your screen. Now, notice that the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas have also narrated the same thing on their own, Qatada and Mujahid and Abdullah ibn Abbas, and you'll notice on the bottom that these are authentic. These have been checked as sahih chains that mention from Abdullah ibn Abbas, from Qatada, from Mujahid, saying that Lahu al-Hadith in Surah Luqman is a reference to music. So in the Quran, it does mention this. Now, what I want to show you here, this is Mawsu'a Tafsir al-Mathur, which is a collection of all of the narrations from the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba and Tabi'un and later scholars about the meaning of the Quran with chains and narrations of checkings. In it, not only through a single chain, now please look at this, from 6 independent chains from Sa'id ibn Jubair and other Abu Salih and other students, Atiyah and Mujahid and Dahak and other scholars who took this knowledge from Abdullah ibn Abbas, all of them with their own independent chains, they mention Abdullah ibn Abbas held this opinion. That means it's not like a single chain. These are 6 different chains, authentic, right there on your screen. Now, look at the next page that we have here. Again, from Abdullah ibn Abbas, and he mentioned this authentically, from Hasan al-Basri, from Ata, other ulama from the Tabi'un, they all took this to mean that this is a reference to music. It's not just Abdullah ibn Abbas, who, by the way, was from the greatest scholars of hadith, greatest scholars of tafsir, the one that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may Allah give him the understanding of wahi. So when Abdullah ibn Abbas has an opinion in tafsir, authentically established, we definitely take this. But the other sahabi that I'm going to mention here, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, from the great scholars of Sahaba, from the one that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, take Quran from him. So again, now you look at the caliber of Sahaba we're talking about. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, here the narration from him, and Ikramah and Sa'id ibn Jubair, they're all mentioned here. Now, and I'm going to discuss the narration from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in detail. I'm going to go through the whole sanad, but I want to show you the other narrations as well. Mujahid, again, not through a single chain, but through 5 different chains here. Dahak and others, they have all said that this is a reference to music in the Quran. Now, let's take Ubayd ibn Umair, Hasan al-Basri, Sa'id ibn Jubair, Ata, all of them, same opinion. So, don't just say it's like one narration from Abdullah ibn Abbas and others give different opinions. No. There are tons of narrations from different Sahaba and different Tabi'un that all said that this means music. Now, when we look at a chain, we don't just say, I heard from somebody who won't mention their name and I can't mention them and they won't talk about... No. We're going to give evidences. This is from the Sunan al-Kabir of al-Bayhaqi, and this has the narration from Abdullah ibn Abbas that you said. Now, this is reported from Abdullah ibn Muhammad, who's famously known as Ibn Abi Dunya, from Zuhair ibn Harb, who was a great scholar and faqih and thiqa, from Jarir ibn Hazim, which is another strong, salih narrator, as Al-Dhahabi has said, from Ata ibn Sa'ib, the great tabi'in scholar, from Sa'id ibn Jubair, one of the fuqaha of Medina, from Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu anhuma, that says that this ayah with Lahu al-Hadith is reference to music. Now, where's the drunk? Where's the drunk? How dare you say something about a chain like this? Prove it. And this is why I gave you a year and a half to go research it, to discuss it offline, so I don't have to do this in public. But because you didn't respond, and our brother Eddie from the Deen shows is a witness to this, we have to do this in public. Where's the drunk? Now, continuing on, next page. This is the hadith from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. It's also mentioned with the same meaning that this ayah in the Quran shows that music is haram. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, Wallahi al-ghina. He says, I swear by Allah that this is a reference to ghina. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the great Sahabi, the Faqih, the Mufassir, the Muhaddith, the one that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, take Quran from him, take the understanding of the Quran. What did he say? He says, this ayah shows that music is haram, and he took qasam by it. And as you can see, this is Sahih, it was authentic by Ibn Abi Dunya and by Ibn Jareen in his tafsir and others, and we'll talk about Al-Baghawi and others. So now, when we look at the authenticity of ahadith, one of the greatest scholars in this field from the past, I'm not even getting to contemporary scholars, is Ibn Hajar Asqalani. The famous Ibn Hajar Asqalani has a famous takhrij book, a checking of hadith, talkhis, and here he says about the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, where Abdullah ibn Mas'ud takes qasam, which says, Wallah, this is ghina. He says, Bi-isnad al-sahih, it is authentic. Ibn Abi Shayba had reported it authentically. And then he says about this that Al-Hakim and Al-Bayhaqi all considered it to be sahih, as Ibn Hajar Asqalani does himself. In the Mustadrak of Al-Hakim, I've given out here the entire chain again. Now, I'm going to go through the entire chain again with you, okay? So know, is there any weak narrator in this hadith, any drunk in this, okay? Now, this is reported from Abu al-Abbas, Muhammad ibn Yaqub. Who is he? As I've listed out, handwritten my notes from checking each narrator here. He is an imam, a muhaddith, the musnad of his asr, the one that the people would take chain from, al-hafiz, memorizer of hadith, faqih, a shafi'i, scholar, no doubt to his authenticity, right? Who does he report it from? From Bakkar ibn Qutayba al-Qadi, who was a famous scholar and judge, Qadi al-Kabir, Allama, Muhaddith, a Hanafi faqih of the Hanafi madhab. Who does he report it from? Safwan ibn Isa al-Qadi, again, a great scholar, somebody who was a judge. And Abu Hatim said about him that he's salih. Muhammad ibn Sa'ad said that he's thiqa and salih, that he is a strong narrator and a qadi, an Islamic judge. Who did they report it from? Humayd, Kharrat, and that is one of the great scholars of hadith as well. Ibn Abi Hatim said that Yahya bin Ma'in said about him that he is thiqa, that he is strong in hadith, and laysa bihi bas, there is no criticism of him. Now, if we continue, he's from Ammar, from Sa'id ibn Jubair, onwards, all reliable scholars of hadith, all the way to the tabi'un, from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who said that this ayah, wallahi, is referencing to music, and Al-Hakim also said that it's authentic, and Al-Dhahabi agreed with him. So, where's the drunk? Right? No doubt, not just through Abdullah ibn Abbas, but Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and other Sahaba and a great number of tabi'un authentically said that this ayah includes the tahrim, the haram of music. It is in the Quran. Now, are there hadith? Our brother Nouman Ali Khan said,
Okay, there are these ahadith. Then I go to Dr. Akram Nadwi. Tell me about these ahadith. None of them reach the degree of sahih.
now, again, when you're talking about hadith now, when you just said you're not going to talk about hadith and this is not your field, again, that's disturbing. This hadith that you're referencing is in the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari. Some of the ulama said it's mu'allaqan, that it's not a part of the Sahih itself, as mu'allaq is usually a hadith that Imam Bukhari uses in his chapter titles without the chain. But if you look at the hadith here, it actually has the entire chain. Even though Imam Bukhari says qala here, referencing the beginning of the sanad, it does not mean that it's mu'allaq in the sense that he doesn't include it as a part of his Sahih. So this hadith that you're talking about is in Sahih al-Bukhari. That should be enough for us to say, okay, especially if you're not an expert in the field of hadith, you shouldn't be saying that it doesn't reach the level of being authentic. But just for fun, let's take this hadith apart. The greatest or the best known and the most popular explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari is a book called Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar Asqalani, the great Shafi'i scholar and hadith scholar. What does he do? He checks this chain to particularly clarify that this is not mu'allaq in the sense of not having the sanad, and even with its narrators that are there, he says that this hadith is hadith sahihan, it is authentic ala shart al-Bukhari, upon the the conditions of al-Bukhari. It meets the level of criteria of Imam Bukhari. And he says that again, and I've highlighted it twice on the page there. So what does it mean? No doubt, this hadith is sahih according to the conditions of Imam al-Bukhari in his sahih, as Ibn Hajar Asqalani has mentioned. Now, let's take some contemporary scholars. We've been taking the classic scholars. One of the best known scholars of hadith in our time, who has done an amazing work of rechecking and going over a hadith from the past, looking the opinions of different scholars, is Shaykh Albani. Well known, needs no introduction. In his Mawsu', collecting the hadith that he graded to be sahih, this hadith is there. Obviously, it's in Bukhari. But he discusses it and he says this hadith is sahih. So Shaykh Albani thought it to be sahih. One of the greatest fuqaha of our time, scholars of fiqh and usul, Shaykh Ibn Uthman, in his book Sharh al-Mumti', as you have it scanned on your screen, what does he say? Al-hadith la shak fi sihhatihi. It is a hadith that there is no doubt to its authenticity. So Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Al-Hakim, Bayhaqi, later scholars like Shaykh Albani, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin, all agreed that this hadith in Bukhari is sahih. And now you're coming out and saying that they don't reach the level of sahih?
Even if you're convinced it's haram, is there enough scholarship? When I spoke to the Hanafi ulama, they're like, we have no issue with it. We have no issue with it. I went to traditional South Asian Hanafi ulama in private gatherings, no issues. They won't say it in public. Privately, they said no issues.
Now, this is really disturbing. First thing, you won't mention who these ulama are. Secondly, you will say that these ulama themselves will not say this in public. So why are you mentioning this in public? If this is something private between you and them, then keep it private. And if they're ashamed to say this publicly, then there's something wrong. And just to say I've met Hanafi ulama or Shafi'i ulama or Maliki ulama doesn't tell us anything. The madhab is not just a particular scholar's opinion. Regarding this issue, there are ulama who have written entire works to say there is ijma', there is consensus that music is haram. Now, you could argue that point, that there is an ijma' and so on, but that's not even what I'm discussing here. When you talk about the madhahib, you have to reference the books of that madhab and the mu'tamad, the relied upon books of the madhab. Now, if you're going to say the Hanafi madhab and Shafi'i and Maliki and so on allow music, they don't say this is haram, then give us a reference from a book or name a scholar. You can't just say I met somebody somewhere and they won't even mention who they are and they won't mention it publicly and then quote it.
قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني